and we sang a song together as a duet. When I first heard him sing, I had no idea he could, and he played me this song. I literally fell off my chair laughing or shocked. I couldn't believe it. For years and years, people kept saying that Robert Redford and Barbra Streisand had real feelings for each other because their chemistry in The Way We Were was so strong, like it wasn't just acting. 020. They never said no, that's not true. They never explained anything, and Hollywood tried super hard to hide all the gossip stories that said something was going on. But when Redford passed away at 89, that old rumor came back big time, and then Barbra Streisand finally talked, and what she said was way more surprising than just saying they had a secret romance. 041. It was something nobody ever guessed was part of Redford's life, and once you hear it, you'll never look at that movie the same way again. The real story behind why they seemed so electric together. Barbra Streisand always said acting never scared her. Except when Robert Redford was around, their chemistry in The Way We Were was insane, but off-camera there was this crazy tension that the studio didn't want anyone to know about, or 0109. Right from the start, Redford didn't even want to do the movie. He thought the guy he was playing, Hubble, was just a pretty face with no real depth. In 1973, he supposedly told the director Sidney Pollack, "Hubble has no spine, he has no real struggle, he just lives for her." That totally shocked Barbra. She thought the story was good because the two characters were total opposites. 0133. His smooth charm against her big passion. Later she said, "He was totally right, and it scared me how right he was." And that's why she kept begging the studio to change the script over and over. Most people who watched the movie never knew Redford also said no to some scenes because he thought they made Hubble look weak. He didn't want a line that made it seem like Hubble felt insecure in the relationship. 0155. And while they were practicing, he even wondered out loud if the characters should stay together at the end. That was their first big fight. Barbra thought love stories have to hurt sometimes. Redford thought they have to feel real and honest. Because they believed such different things, the feelings between them got super intense, so intense that the director Pollack later said they barely had to act, they just had to look at each other. 220. What's even crazier is how uncomfortable Redford got when Barbra started mixing acting with real feelings a little. He asked for extra padding under his clothes, and he straight up said, "I don't want the gossip magazines making up a romance that isn't there." Barbra took that comment really personally. Everyone knew she was super open with her emotions, honest and loud about how she felt. 0244. Redford was the total opposite, super private, always thinking ahead, and he never let anyone, especially her, get too close inside his head. That made this weird wall between them. A writer named Robert Hoffler said in 2003 that sometimes Redford needed space because Barbra's feelings felt too real and too strong. She really looked up to him, but he was scared people would think it was more than that. 314. Still, when the movie wrapped, Redford told a friend, "I don't know what we just made, but it's going to follow us forever." And he was right. The more he pushed back, the stronger they looked together on screen. Pollack said later, "They were never chill with each other. That stress did all the magic." That's why fans thought for years something was secretly going on, even though the real story was way weirder and more fragile than just a love affair. 348. The secret pain Redford kept from Barbra's. A. Behind that perfect smile, Robert Redford had some deep hurts that affected everything, even how he acted with Barbra Streisand. His sadness didn't start in Hollywood. It started way back in 1955 when he was only 18. His mom, Martha, the one who always pushed him to be creative, died out of nowhere at just 40 years old. 0411. Redford said later that losing her broke something inside him forever. That early pain made him scared to ever be emotionally open again his whole life. It's part of why he was careful around super emotional co-stars, especially Barbra, because her intensity could freak out even the toughest actors. At the end of the 1950s, he married a historian named Lola Van Wagenen, 0433. They had a quiet, normal life long before he got famous. But in 1959, their first baby boy, Scott, died when he was only 2 months old. Redford almost never talked about it, but when he did, he said it super clearly. There are hurts you just learn to carry, they never go away. That pain changed every relationship he ever had after. 04:56. It made him nervous about getting too close to people emotionally and super private about his weak spots. When he blew up as a star after Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, all that fame just made everything harder. Lola stayed with him for 27 years, but fame slowly wrecked the calm life they had. What connects this to Barbra is how Redford acted around women who really admired him. 05:20. He wanted to feel close to people, but he was terrified of being swallowed up by someone's feelings. Barbra, with her super open heart and strong love, was exactly the kind of person he both wanted and ran away from. This messy mix of feelings explains why people like Jane Fonda said he felt distant even though she loved him for years, and why Meryl Streep said he was an amazing listener but impossible to really know. 5:48. His fear of big emotions sometimes just looked cold. He turned down roles that showed guys being weak, said no to interviews that got too person. Allen controlled his image super tightly. Barbra's loud in-your-face style crashed hard into his closed-off personality, and they never totally fixed that tension. 06:09. Even when he got older, Redford still carried those old hurts. Losing his son James in 2020 crushed him all over again. He pulled away from the world even more, spending his last years just with family and his second wife, Sybil Saggers. Those walls he built are exactly why Barbra's words after he died hit everyone so hard, because we all wondered, did she ever get past those walls even a little? What really happened when the cameras weren't rolling? Hollywood spent 50 years turning Barbra Streisand and Robert Redford into this perfect love story. 06:46. What nobody knew is that when filming ended, it shook both Barbra Streisand and Robert Redford in ways they never expected. Life didn't just go back to normal. The first big shock hit Barbra. She had spent months thinking Redford's quiet, faraway vibe meant he was stuck up or didn't like her. 07:08. But after the movie came out, she started hearing from crew people about all the sad stuff Redford never told her, how his mom died suddenly when he was 18, how his baby son Scott died at 2 months old, and all the private pain that made him seem cold. That totally crushed her. 07:29. She had thought his silence meant he was pushing her away, but now she got it. He was just protecting himself. She told someone privately later, "I wish I had known. I would have been so different with him." That one line shows how guilty she felt for months. She thought he just hated her big personality, her flirty jokes, her need for everything to be perfect. 07:51. Now she saw she had been bumping up against a guy who spent his whole life putting up walls just to keep going. The second big shock was how Redford dealt with being super famous after the movie E exploded. Everyone loved his acting, but all the crazy gossip about him and Barbra scared him bad. Magazines called them Hollywood's secret couple, fans sent tons of letters asking if they were dating, and reporters followed him everywhere. Redford felt stuck in a story he couldn't stop. A friend said later he hated how people thought he belonged to somebody, even if it was Barbra. All that pressure made him hide even more. 08:37. He started saying no to interviews, turning down love story movies, and skipping events with Barbra. At one party in 1974, he showed up late on purpose so he wouldn't have to walk the red carpet with her, because he was scared the headlines would never stop. Barbra thought he was just keeping distance. Redford thought he was just trying to survive. After that, they only talked when they had to for work. Super polite but awkward. 09:03. They hardly ever hung out just as people. Barbra started feeling protective of him. Redford felt nervous because she could kind of see right through him. And still, even with all the weird avoiding, neither of them ever said the movie didn't tie them together forever in some big way. It wasn't love. It wasn't regular friendship. How Barbra reacted after he passed away. 09:27. When Robert Redford died at 89, all of Hollywood freaked out right away. Everyone posted tributes, TV showed old clips. But Barbra Streisand, the one person everyone was waiting to hear from, stayed totally quiet. Her people said she was dealing with it in private. 5 days later, she finally posted something and it shocked everybody. 09:53. She wrote, Every single day on the set of The Way We Were was exciting, intense, and pure joy. He was one of a kind. But the line that made fans cry was this: "We promised to exchange our drawings. I will always keep that promise in my heart." She wasn't just sad about a co-star. She was sad about a connection she could never totally explain. 10:22. Barbra told a close friend later, "We understood each other better than we ever said out loud. Maybe too well." That made the internet go crazy. Some fans thought she was finally saying there was secret love. Others thought she was just talking about all the feelings they never dealt with. But what she said about his death was super real and sad. 10:46. She said Redford was a chapter of her life that never really ended. A chapter full of looking up to him, fighting, getting things wrong, and stuff they never said. After he died, people in the business said Barbra got really quiet and thoughtful, and she would re-watch The Way We Were a lot, sometimes stopping on scenes where Redford's eyes looked soft. Moments, she said in private, were the real him peeking out. 11:12. Her words after he died felt like she was finally admitting something everyone had felt for years. Their connection was deep, super complicated, and never finished. So that's the whole story for today. What do you think Barbra Streisand really felt for Robert Redford? Just huge respect, a connection that never got solved, or something deeper she never said out loud? Let me know what you think down below. 11:38. And if you want more crazy true stories about Hollywood's most secretive relationships, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next one.